The reason vanilla Barons, and to a lesser extent TBC and Wrath Barons, is remembered so fondly by Horde players and was so popular was because of a combination of bad planning and zone design by Blizzard. If you look at some of the earliest screenshots of WoW, you'll notice that almost all of it is Alliance zones and cities.
Yeah.
And pretty much all Alliance zones were created...
They focused on what mattered, is what they're saying. They focused on what mattered. There was like, you know, should we focus on the Alliance or, you know, like the Horde? Like, well, we're obviously going to focus on the Alliance. She is hot. Like, is that just me? But I mean, she's hot.
Before they worked on the Horde Zones, leading many people to speculate that Blizzard just kind of ran out of time when it came to the Horde Zones.
Yeah, of course they
did. And
did.
because of this,
it's obvious.
Maybe not. After all, there is no
it's
concrete
obvious.
Proof. But what is...
it is. There is proof. You know what the proof is? Go to Thunderbluff, dude. It's literally a fucking hill. It's a series of hills. Like, all the hordes that say hills is like, oh, Orgrimmar? What is Orgrimmar? It's, just put some huts around. What do you want to put next to the huts? Put another hut next to it. Yeah, duh. Yeah, it tells... No, listen. Horde zones are a fucking joke.
Undeniable that for a lot of various different reasons,
Yep.
If you were Horde, you were going to end up in the Barrens eventually.
You sure were.
In vanilla, there was no dungeon finder, and the low-level dungeons themselves could take anywhere from 1 to 4 hours to complete, if you did manage to get a group together. So those were out of the question if you wanted an alternative to quick leveling. Battlegrounds did not start giving experience until late in Wrath of the Lich King. Mining and herbalism didn't give experience either, and obviously pet battles weren't a thing back then.
Really?
So all the alternative routes that
thought they added experience way earlier.
Just weren't there. The only way to efficiently get
I feel
XP
gaming. Thanks for
was
10
to
subs,
grind
man. Appreciate
mobs or
that. Thank you, thank you.
The Barons was basically a funnel point for 3 of the 4 playable races in Horde.
Yep.
After their starting zone, Tauren, Trolls, and Orcs were naturally led
I went over there as Undead too.
And even Undead would travel there sometimes rather than deal with Silverpine Forest or Terran Mill.
It was fucking terrible.
The zone itself was massive, probably one of the biggest zones ever in the entire game. It also had only 3 flight paths, and even less graveyards.
Yep.
1 flight path in Ratchet, 1 at the Crossroads, and a 3rd at Camp Tarajo. The flight path from Ratchet to the Crossroads was an extremely
That's what I used to call
flight.
But
the one from the Crossroads to Camp Tarajo was the most useful one. And even then, those 3 flight paths covered only a very small portion of the map, so you had to run everywhere. At that time, you didn't get a mount until level 40, and Old Barrens was notorious for sending you to all the very far corners of the zone for questing.
That was the worst.
So you were running marathons for everything.
Actually, the fucking worst.
In addition, it also had the largest level range of any zone, spanning 15 levels. So you pretty much had to go to the Barrens. You stayed there for a long time, and you had to do very long, boring runs to get to quests. On top of some of the quests being infamous for being awful. Mancricks Wife being one, and probably the most known quest in WoW. The Venture Co. Samaflange quests, the terrible
That's actually a good question. What do you guys think is the most known quest in WoW? Like, that everybody knows? Is it Hogger? I feel like it's probably Hogger, to kill Hogger. Old Blanchy? No, nobody gives a fuck about Old Blanchy. Wrathgate? No, there's no way it's Wrathgate. Okay, I'd say like Manric or Hogger. Stalvin? No, there's no way. Like, yeah, because like the thing is, like, literally anybody that plays WoW would probably know about fucking Hogger. Let's see, Stolen Silver? No, yeah, it's Hogger, 100% Hogger.
Escort quest free from the hold. Yep. And collecting 4 zebra hooves with a very low drop chance and various other similar low drop chance gathering quests. The Zebra, a quest that required you to do one simple little task.
The Zebra.
Go out
Zebra
into the
hooves.
Barrens and kill zebra for 4 hoofs. Not so bad, right? I mean, each zebra has 4 hoofs, don't they?
No, they don't.
Well, actually,
they don't have any.
No, because this quest, if you focused on it, and only it, would take you about an hour to complete.
Imagine that. Literally 1 hour. You spend 1 hour in the game to get 4 zebra hooves. that after all of that time, you come back and you turn it in, and you know what you get? A pair of white leggings that have less stamina, or sorry, that have no stats and less armor than what you already had. It's great. Absolutely amazing.
The problem with the quest was twofold. One, there were not a lot of zebras, and they liked to roam alone. And two, they had a really low chance to drop the hoos. So you had to go around and hunt down these little bastards, and then hope the RNG gods were on your side when you finally found one. Lost in Battle, one of the most infamous quests ever. The objective was simple, find out what happened to Mancricks Wife. Only this was in the time before there was a vast, readily available database.
Nobody knew where the fuck it was.
So in order to find
I
his
never
wife,
completed this.
You'd have to dig through pages of comments and message boards or forums, since her body was not in an obvious location.
Yep.
Mancrick gave you the quest here, and his wife's body is over here. Just randomly to the side of the road, not near any other quests, and very far away from Mancrick. The easiest way to find out where Mancrick's wife was to simply ask in chat. And Barrens being the most populated zone in those days, you had plenty of people more than willing to help you locate Mancrick's wife.
Yep.
But after the question has been asked for maybe the 10th time in the past 30 minutes, people would start giving not so serious answers, which would then devolve into more off-topic discussions, most of which involving various links to certain legendary weapons,
Donald Trump,
and the tales and exploits of one known as Chuck Norris.
And more importantly, Donald
Barons
Trump.
Chant.
All about him now.
If Barrens isn't remembered for its terrible questing experience, because really I could go on and on about some of the other really terrible quests in the zone, the Barons Chant is what Trade Chat started out as.
Yep.
Random trolling, anal theory, blessed blade of the Windseeker,
dumbass motherfuckers,
and other various
is what he's saying.
And memes.
Dumbass motherfuckers.
And since so many Horde players spent so long in this one zone, running very slowly all over the place because it was massive, and only had 2 relevant flight points, you had a lot of free time to chat while auto-running to the crossroads.
Look at the fucking gun next to the zebra. Oh no. LFG your mom. Where's Azeroth? That's... Jesus Christ.
And that is why Barrens is remembered. For Barons Chant. And its incredible leveling experience. Oh, and also Alliance raids. The Barons Chat might have been full of memes and childish trolling, but it was also full of the Crossroads is under attack.
Yep.
Since it seemed like the Crossroads
we did that shit too. That was really
under
fucking
attack.
fun, man. That was
why
so
were
fucking
the
fun.
Crossroads always under attack? Well, for a number of reasons.
They only had level 40 guards.
For one, the Alliance knew that there were a lot of Horde players in the Barons. And not only that, but low-level Horde players. The Barons also had a very crucial geographical flaw that Alliance zones of similar level did not have. Ratchet. This little city was neutral, had a boat to the Eastern Kingdoms, and a very short run to the Crossroads, which was nearby. The Crossroads is also where a majority of the quest givers were located, so just simply taking the easy and convenient boat to Ratchet, and running leisurely into the Crossroads and pulling the guards one by one, since at this time guards did not all Zerg attackers like they do today, a small group of max-level Alliance players could hold the Crossroads hostage for quite some time.
You guys remember whenever we did this shit? And then we just basically completely took over? And then we had to leave because it was honestly getting sad. It was honestly getting fucking sad. That the Horde just couldn't get anybody over there. It was just pathetic. And so they eventually, they had to stop playing. And we just had to go over to Orgrimmar or something like that. It was just so fucking embarrassing, man.
And why not? It was easy to do. And you were almost guaranteed to get a few lowbie trolls, orcs, or taurens try and fight you because they didn't know any better. So it was easy pickings. Until the max level Horde players came in to clean house. The Crossroads was a site of constant world PvP. Depending on your server, there could be a couple of small-scale battles taking place every day. The only reason the Barrens isn't more well known for its world PvP is because it's already infamous for a whole host of other things.
Well, because the Barrens wasn't contested, was it? Like, I'm like 90% sure it wasn't contested. So of course they're not gonna have like, oh yeah, I remember the Barons PvP. Yeah, it wasn't contested. Of course there's not gonna be a lot of PvP there. Like here's where PvP happens: is fucking like South Shore and Terran Mill, in front of like, let me think, where else is there? There's that's the number one place. STV, yeah, STV is probably the main place that there's a lot of fucking PvP. And then maybe a little bit beyond that, like maybe like Western Plaguelands or something at like high levels, because people are like competing for like grinding spots.
Aspect of it
and BRD
gets overshadowed. Yeah. And don't get me started on the landscape. The landscape of the zone. It's alright actually. Landscapes are a very subjective thing to discuss, and many people have fond memories of the barren wasteland that they spent weeks, maybe even months leveling through. Personally, I was never the biggest fan of the zone's aesthetics, but it could look very cool at times. In Cataclysm, with the remake of the old world, the Barrens was cut in half and turned into 2 leveling zones, and each zone is about the same size as other regular size zones, which should tell you something about just how huge the old Barrens was. If splitting it in half made each new zone only normal sized.
Okay.
And with the splitting of the zone, most of the old qualities of vanilla Barrens are gone. You no longer...
I never liked that. Like, Blizzard totally fucked up by letting this shit happen before they had the technology to have the 2 separate zones at the same time. They totally fucked up by not doing that.
You need to stay in any zone for very long with all the alternative ways to level. And with Dungeon Finder being available at level 15, most players totally skip it altogether. So Barons Chant isn't even a thing anymore. Blizzard fixed pretty much all the old quests to no longer be absolutely terrible. So no more spending an hour killing zebras for 4 hoofs. And guards in low-level towns are actually a threat now. So it's not as easy to take the crossroads as it once was. So world PvP is almost non-existent there anymore. With Blizzard making changes to the zone to fix its many problems, they got rid of what made it unique.
Yep.
But that's not always a bad thing. Sure, we'll never have the old Barrens again, because most of the things that made it such a heavily traveled zone were because of bad zone design. So would you even want that again? Is it better to have a good zone that's kind of forgettable that hardly anyone goes to? Or a bad zone that everyone's forced to go to? Because that's what Old Barrens was.
It's better to have a bad zone that everybody is forced to go to. That's what it is. That's honestly the truth. Is it's so much better to have a shit-ass zone, a shit-ass garbage zone that everybody fucking has to do it. Like Timeless Isle. Was Timeless Isle really that great? Timeless Isle was good. But you know what fucking sucked? Is the layout, not being able to fly, getting killed by people with the sensor on constantly, and everybody fucking remembers it because everybody was there. And you were sitting there with everybody else and you had to deal with it. And that kind of shit was what mattered. When we go, vanilla questing and why it was remembered. I don't know.